I'm wondering
Yes.
if you can reiterate that, first of all.
Yes. Number one, act on your passion, whatever contains the most passion, no matter what it is, first. Act on it to the best you are able. Number two, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further, until the excitement wanes, making sure you're not the one dampening the excitement with your own belief system. If you're not, then just act on it as best you can, taking it as far as you can till you can take it no further. Number three, act on your passion with no insistence, no assumption as to what the outcome ought to look like, where you think it should take you, so on and so forth, because you really don't know what the best outcome really needs to look like. Number four, remain in a positive state no matter what manifests. Even if what manifests is something you objectively don't prefer, you have to know from a positive position that it's got to be there for a reason that could serve you in a positive way. And if you maintain that positive vibration, you will understand how to use what you don't prefer in a way that you do. And it will serve you. You will extract the benefit from the situation rather than negativity from it by remaining in a positive state and knowing that it's got to be there for a reason. Those are the 4 steps that open up all the tools in the kit that begin to function automatically for you when you follow that 4-step formula as precisely as you possibly can.
Okay, and that's exactly what these questions are about, fine-tuning my precision in following those steps. So
All right.
the first question is, when you say excitement or passion, that also means most positive feeling. Is that accurate?
It can be. Again, it's what you're attracted to first. And this goes for any level in your life. In other words, it can be very simple. At any moment, you can have a number of choices available to you of things that you could take some action on. Taking a walk, reading a book, talking to a friend, eating a meal, what have you. Whichever one seems a little bit more exciting, a little bit more attractive, getting you to focus on it with some kind of idea of that's what feels right now, do that one first, as far as you can take it, until you can take it no further. And just keep doing that every time the excitement wanes or you've completed that particular action. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Very much so.
All right.
The next question is, do you have some sort of mechanism for discerning when, say, I'm making my excitement appear as my anxiety or my anxiety appear as excitement? Is there a mechanism to assist in discerning that?
Yes, it's called self-honesty. All you have to do is be aware that you really, when you stop and think about it, when you let yourself be your true self, you know the difference between what feels exciting and what feels like anxiety. All of you do. So it's just honest self-examination, honest self-investigation. You know the difference if you are honest with yourself.
I really do think I do. Can I give an example of something that I would call subtle, so to speak, to me at least?
Of course.
So, for example, most of the time when I feel like exercising or when I want to exercise, it is my excitement. Now, sometimes it's me saying, well, maybe I should be exercising in this case. And in those cases, it can be counterproductive if my body actually wants rest in that case. But the reason that I guess it's subtle to me is because I just assume, which I know isn't the wisest idea, I kind of assume that some things are almost always positive if they fit into a particular routine, but maybe the routine's off. Okay, I see what you're saying now. This is making more sense.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. You just have to realize that, in a sense, and this is a generalization, I know there might be exceptions, because sometimes it can be your excitement saying, hey, why don't you exercise now? But sometimes if you actually have to ask the question of yourself, should I exercise now? That might be an indication that that's coming from anxiety and a sense of what you're expected or should do, as opposed to it actually being your natural excitement, which if it was your natural excitement, you would probably just be exercising without even thinking about it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Now, there can be exceptions to this. That's why it takes honest self-examination, self-investigation to know the difference. But if you just stop and think about it, you can probably tell the difference.
Yeah, I completely agree, actually.
All right. Next.
Can you deliberately develop a sort of language between you and your higher mind, a sort of agreement where maybe this equals that sort of agreement. Can you do that sometimes?
There is already a language between you and your higher mind. That's what we're talking about. Passion, that sensation, excitement, curiosity, love, passion, creativity, that is your physical translation of the communication from your higher mind, because it's speaking to you in an energy language. But that's how your body translates that energy language. Passion is what lets you know you are being communicated with by your higher mind. And the message is, this is you. This is who you are. Act on this now. That's what the higher mind is telling you when you have that sensation. So there's already a direct communication. Your response needs to be the taking of the action, because the language of physical reality is action, not words. So when you do a physical action, that's when the higher mind knows you have heard it and are responding to it. And then it can send you more messages. Do this next. Now do this. Now do this. By sending that sensation that you translate as passion. Act on this now. Act on this one now. Following that thread of passion, which is the communication from the higher mind. And the more you keep acting, the more you will be given more opportunities to act on your passion. If you're not acting, you're not speaking the language of physical reality, you're not communicating with the higher mind, you're not responding to it in the proper language. And if you're not acting on what it's already said to you, what it's already given you to act on, why should it send you more opportunities to act on your passion if you're not willing to act on what it's already sent you? The communication is already there. That's what we're describing.
Okay, that's perfect. Yes, I just had to act on it more, I suppose.
Yes.
So next question is related to acting to the best of my ability.
Yes.
Once you're in the activity or in the action, should that be your dominant priority, your primary priority, to be acting to the best of your ability?
Why wouldn't it be?
Maybe it could be still being in tune with that sensitivity. I guess that would still qualify as acting to the best of your ability. Okay.
The idea of acting to the best of your ability also takes into account the parameters that exist in your particular reality, in your society, what you're actually capable of doing while maintaining integrity. In other words, you're not breaking your laws, you're not being unethical, things like that, because your society says we've agreed that these are the parameters that everyone will operate in order to be of service to everyone else and allow everyone to do what they need to do. So the idea is not only in your own personal ability to act, but also to what you have agreed are the parameters that allow you to take an action. That's all you need to understand about act on the best to your ability, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further. And if you cannot act on it any further because of any of these parameters, that's your first clue that you need to look around for the next thing that contains more excitement than anything else and act on that next. Because whether it seems connected on the surface or not, the excitement lets you know it is connected to your path.
Perfect. Yeah, makes sense. So again, relative to best of acting to the best of my ability.
Yes.
There's a rule that I've heard, not a rule, but a suggestion going around, the 85% rule, where you act to the best of your ability to about 85% so that you leave that 15% for sort of being more relaxed and being more receptive.
Well, if you want to look at it that way, that's fine. But that's also saying that there's some kind of an assumption that if you act 100% as best you can, that you can't be relaxed. Why would you buy into something like that if you don't necessarily prefer to?
That's a great point too. My goodness. Okay.
Do it whatever way works for you. But the point is that that's just a way that some people have of interpreting the idea that works for them. But it's not a hard line fact that it is literally accurate in terms of percentages. Acting 100%, really, if you're following your passion, would by definition include your ability to relax, because why would your passion contain stress?
Mm-hmm.
You follow? That's a misunderstanding of the definition of passion. That somehow you have to shortchange it in order to be relaxed, instead of understanding that you can go full steam ahead, but full steam ahead would also mean that there is the capability of doing that in a way that allows you to be relaxed.
Perfect.
It's a more inclusive, holistic understanding that the definition is the definition, and a different definition is a different reality.
Okay. I agree again. Now, acting as far as you can. So to me, there are three possibilities that I see about this, and one would be until something else is more exciting.
Yes.
Two would be until it's fully resolved or it's come to full fruition.
Yes.
So of course there can be more connections and aspects, however, full fruition. And lastly would be if you appear to be stuck and it might be becoming seemingly excessively difficult, perhaps it would be time to do something else.
Or first, always first. If your excitement or ability wanes, first examine whether your beliefs are making it appear to wane, or whether it is really waning as part of your synchronicity.
Yes. So if it feels excessively difficult, to me, that would mean there's an opportunity to break it down more and see if there's more gradual steps that you could take so that it is easier.
Or completely different steps that are more in alignment with the way that works for you.
Okay.
If you have determined, however, that no such steps exist, and it's truly your excitement waning synchronistically to show you that something else needs to be done, then if you are, again, honest in your self-examination as to whether you're the one dampening the excitement or whether it's dampening on its own synchronistically, then you'll know what to do.
Okay.
Because many times you could continue to do something similar if you simply allow yourself to do it in a more exciting way. That can sometimes be the message. You may not be doing it in the way that actually works for you, can be creating the difficulty that you experience.
That makes a lot of sense. Next question is relative to the expectation or having no expectation or insistence on the outcome. And that is
no assumption or assistance. You can expect that something will happen, but you just don't have to be very specific about it. What you can expect is that if you allow it to be the natural outcome, it will serve you best. You can expect that. But when we say expectation, we mean insistence or assumption of a particular form that in your mind's estimation may not actually be the best outcome, yet it may have been trained to think that it must be.
Okay. So one example of this would be, say it's the NBA Finals and you're at Game 7, and before the game, maybe the professional player is visualizing and vibrating winning the championship for the purpose of connecting to that parallel reality stream or being...
That's fine. That's fine. That's the visualization part. And it is important to stay in that vibration, but drop any insistence on what the outcome odds to be, because you don't actually know what the best outcome for you would be until it happens.
So could losing the championship be the best outcome? Oh, I suppose.
Yes, because then what that puts the person in touch with may be the most important thing they actually need to get in touch with. Because remember, it's not necessarily about winning the game. It might be more important for them to have a knowledge of the reaction they have to losing. Or maybe not winning the game will create a different scenario than otherwise would have happened that would actually put them where they need to be. That's actually more important to them than having won the game and winding up somewhere else. You have to allow yourself to know that what happens is what needs to happen. As long as you are in the state of being that is the best state of being, the state of being of allowing for the best possible outcome, but not insisting what best means, then you're in the proper state.
Okay. So you might become more focused. Your desire might be stronger. You might take different actions for the next year because of the outcome, etc.
Yes, and it might teach you something about yourself in a very different way and in things that have nothing to do with the game at all.
Okay. Wow. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Again, that's the importance of the fourth step of the formula. You remain in a positive state no matter what happens, because it's not about what happens. It's about what you do with what happens that matters. And if you remain in a positive state, no matter what happens, you will always get a benefit from it, even if it's not the one you thought you would get. But you won't get that, and you won't experience that if you don't remain in the same positive state in which you created the experience. This is the secret of visualization. By all means, you can imagine and visualize a particular, a specific outcome as the thing that gets you in that excited state. But as soon as you're in the excited state, you have to drop the picture because you don't really know for sure that that's really the best outcome. Let your higher mind bring you what you actually need at that moment that is truly going to serve you the best. And you have to know that that's what's going to happen. Even if what manifests is something that you objectively don't prefer, if it manifested, then you have to know it's there for a reason that can serve you. And by staying in a positive state, you will get the benefit of why that's there, instead of insisting that something has gone wrong and then suddenly you cannot get the benefit. You can only see the negative side of it.
Perfect. Would you say that having no insistence on the outcome also assists with being more process-oriented, more focused on what is needed out of you in order to even aim to do what you want to do?
It's not about what you want to do. It's about what you need to do. And what you need to do will be shown to you in the present moment.
Okay. How do plans fit into the formula?
Again, you can plan. You can plan if you want as part of the process, as long as you allow yourself to have a plan where the plan can change according to the flow of what happens.
Okay, perfect. So I kind of see there's almost a path of no resistance or a path of very little resistance, and there's a path of least resistance. Yes. And they're kind of different pacings in a sense. They have different...
Well, yes and no. When we use the term path of least resistance, that allows for there to be an experience of no resistance at all, because then that would be the least.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
We're not really talking about degrees in that sense. Just allow for the path of least resistance. That could mean no resistance at all.
Okay, that's all I needed to hear. That's great.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Good day.
You too.
Always.
Goodbye.
Well, again, as we have said, the idea is that when you have a fear-based belief, a negative belief in your consciousness, the physical body has to create a kind of representation of that belief in its chemical constituency, in its molecular structure. So when you finally are willing to let go of a fear-based belief, it's not uncommon that you have to wash that chemical version out of your body. It will more often than not come out through tears of release, tears of forgiveness, tears of release, of letting go. It can come out in other ways, such as the idea of perspiration. It can come out even in the idea of waste elimination. But more often than not, it will have the emotional component with it that allows you to feel the release emotionally, to let you know you are letting go of that particular fear-based belief. It's washing out of your system through your tears.
Hi, Bashar. I'm Lucia, and I'm from Oregon. My question is, do you control your emotions, or do your emotions control you? Thank you, Bashar. Avail.
Neither. We have them naturally as they occur. There is no control in either direction. The idea is that we feel what we feel when we feel it, but for us it's always positive, simply because that's our choice of a vibrational reality to be in. We have let go long ago of negative belief systems, and therefore we do not have what you would typically refer to as negative emotions. But we simply allow them to occur. There's no controlling of anything. We go with the flow because we trust that the flow knows exactly where we need to go, and what we feel and what we experience is exactly what we need to feel and experience at any given moment.
Hello, Bashar. My name is Lorena from Slovenia.
you're future self of Darryl. But in a conversation with people, a lot of times I heard you telling them when they would ask you or tell you that they feel alien, you would tell them that they are not aliens, they are human beings because they live on Earth, but probably they have soul extensions in another dimensions. Could you clarify that a little bit? Could you explain that a little bit further? Because throughout my whole life, I feel more like an alien than a human being. And I would like to know what that feeling of not belonging to Earth, of belonging to some other place, some other dimension, what does that feeling mean? Thank you. Goodbye.
That feeling is representative of the fact that you're changing your vibration to another version of Earth that right now feels alien to you. But you're experiencing the shift through various versions of alternate parallel reality Earths. One that is more and more and more and more similar to the connections that you feel from us, from other alien civilizations. So you're making an equivalency between that future Earth that you're shifting to and an alien planet just because they feel so similar.
Hey Bashar, and greetings from Tel Aviv. This is Michael, and I'm very, very happy to be asking you a question. The word mana in Hebrew means portion or ration of food, and I'm assuming it's derived from the word mana or mana from the Bible in the book of Exodus, chapter 16, where the Jews had food sent to them from the sky for their nourishment while they were in the desert leaving Egypt. My question is, from your perspective, what was the nutritional makeup of the manna actually? Was it like food such as rice and meat, or was it something else entirely? Thank you and much love.
There was no meat involved. It is certainly closer to the idea that you call rice, but it is more like a wafer type substance that is nutritionally balanced for human beings at that time and was given to them by the extraterrestrial race that was guiding them. You might reference it nowadays as something close to a superfood.
Hey Bashar, it's Teresa in Long Beach. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for me. I'd like to ask you a little bit about timeline number 3 from the parallel reality wheel, where the Indian Federation retains control of North America. Can you talk a little bit about that timeline? Does the African slave trade happen at all? Thank you so much, my Bashar.
Well, there are also variations of that timeline. So timeline number 3 that we mentioned can also have a number of variations within it. The one we were referring to simply is that the European explorers never completely gained a foothold in what you now know to be the Americas, and therefore it allowed the idea of various Indian tribes to expand and fully occupy the North, Central, and South American continents. Of course, it's not referred to as America. It is simply referred to in various tribal languages as the place of the people. In that one particular timeline we were referring to, there still was a European slave trade, but the idea is that it was maintained only within the idea of Europe and extended to some degree over into Asia. Of course, there are parallel versions of this that did not experience and do not experience the idea of the slave trade at all. So it just depends upon which version of the parallel realities you are dealing with, but just about anything you can imagine is one real reality or one real timeline.
Hi, Bashar. This is Tom from England. I was just wondering how the nature and the vegetation differs on your planet than it does on ours, such as the trees or the plants or even the rivers. If you could share anything about that, I would appreciate it. Ha'atu.
Well, again, it has a symbiotic component. There is no predation at all. In that sense, animals do not eat plants, but they may exchange energies in a variety of biological ways. And even plant to plant, there is no predation. Certain kinds of plants, like tall trees, may allow other kinds of plants, like what we have referred to as the prismatic flowers, to climb up on vine-like structures in order to reach more sunlight. But the idea is that they do not harm the trees that they are climbing up, as some vines on your planet may choke other forms of vegetation. So everything in our world is basically symbiotic and is developed to a point where there is always an exchange of energy that is never detrimental to each life form doing the exchange. Now, there are different varieties. As I've said, there are these prismatic flowers that kind of would look sort of like stained glass to you, large bilobed leaves that are like stained glass through which the sunlight passes and also creates kind of rainbow effects on the forest floors. So there are those kinds of plants that exist on our planet, along with some that are similar to yours, but some that are very different. You can see an example of that in the documentary First Contact that was done. There is a depiction of those stained glass flowers in there.
We humans are very dependent as children and therefore easily programmable. In many cases, this programming is very much to our disadvantage. Where is our power in this regard?
Your power in that regard is having chosen the circumstances in general, and maybe sometimes specifically, of the parents and the family that you are born to. Knowing that the so-called programming you would get of them passing on their particular beliefs to you, telepathically or otherwise, are going to set you up for the challenges that you need to face in life to transform those things in the way that will propel you forward according to the theme you chose to explore. So your power is not absent in this. It is simply the setup for you that you generally chose to experience certain challenges that you would then learn to transform so that you could fulfill the idea of this experience, this theme that you chose to explore in physical reality.
Okay, thank you. And what exactly is the structure of power? You talk about power being built into us. What about the power of a newborn child being abandoned and left to die? Or the power of a young child abandoned and raised by wild animals?
Well, again, this is similar to what we just said. Certain experiences, certain ideas, certain belief systems are chosen to be born into for certain experiences that the soul may wish to have to add to its growth. Just because a child's life, even an infant's life, may not necessarily seem to make sense or may not necessarily appear to have power, doesn't mean it doesn't. It's very important to remember that all of you are indestructible, eternal, infinite spirits, and that the idea of the physical presentation is simply something that is usually representative of the theme that is chosen by the spirit or the soul to be explored in this life. So no matter how it appears to you, it is usually representative of the particular kind of challenge that that soul wanted to experience in some way, shape, or form, either to just have the experience or to transform it in some way, as we said, that is representative of that soul's theme.
Okay. When I try to change my beliefs, my brain seems to be very stubborn. I try to get to the bottom of the issue and I don't get any answers. What's a good way to approach a stubborn brain?
Well, first, stop defining that you have a stubborn brain, because you don't. What you're experiencing, again, is simply the fear-based belief that's making you think it's difficult to find out what it is that it's saying to you. So it takes real deep honesty and real deep willingness to actually explore what that belief is saying and not just chalk it up to the idea that you have a stubborn brain. That's just an idea that the fear-based belief is telling you to buy into so that you have a reason not to be able to recognize or realize consciously what the fear or negative belief is saying to you. So first and foremost, don't define it as a stubborn brain. Your brain is a receiver and it's working fine. Just allow yourself to see through the illusion or through the smoke and mirrors that the negative belief is attempting to get you to buy into, that your brain is preventing you from understanding what the negative belief is. Just be willing to be more open. You will find that nothing will block you if you are not afraid to find out what that negative belief is. But remember, it's the negative belief that is attempting to make you afraid to go exploring more deeply.
Okay. Is our ego inherently neutral? Is there a good and a bad ego? And do animals have an ego?
Ego, in a sense, yes, is fundamentally neutral because it's simply the device, the framework, shall we say, that you impose upon your greater consciousness in order to have what you call a physical experience. So in that sense, yes, animals have ego in the neutral sense that allows them to have a physical experience, that focuses them down, like it does for you, into something a little bit more contained, a little bit more narrow, so you can have the physical experience. Negative ego is simply when the ego is given more than it is designed to handle, and it starts, shall we say, rebelling against that because it's not designed to be in control, to be in charge, to decide what's true for you. Your greater self is, your collective personality in alignment with your higher self is that which is designed to decide for yourself, to choose for yourself what is really representative of your fundamental frequency. But the ego is just designed to give you clarity in the experience that you decide to have. That's all it is doing. And the positive side of that is that when the ego is simply allowed to do the job it was designed to do, it aligns more readily with your higher mind. It is experienced in a more positive way. And it almost seems to kind of disappear other than realizing you have an identity as yourself in physical reality. So the positive side of the ego is that it becomes very transparent, almost like it's not there. The negative side is that it constantly calls your attention to it because it thinks it has been given the task of deciding what is correct for you or deciding what you should do or where you should go, and that's not what it's designed to do. It is simply designed to keep you focused in physical reality, and that's the neutral part of it.
Okay. My question is about my phobias. I've been going through a dark night of the soul recently and heavily triggered by my phobias of late. Why do I keep being triggered, and how can I get over my phobias?
Well, again, this is to some degree what we've been talking about here and there. You have to allow yourself to understand the symbol of the phobia. What does it symbolize for you in terms of how it presents itself, what it uses in physical reality to trigger the fear within you? Within the symbol, within the style of the phobia is usually an indication of what the fear-based belief is that you've bought into, and you are using something to represent it, to symbolize it in physical terms. But this can be used to help you get at the core of what the phobia, what the fear, what the negative belief is actually all about. So investigate for yourself the meaning you have put into the symbol, the representation, the style of the phobia. And therefore that can begin to open doors for you as to what the fear-based belief is actually telling you. For example, the idea of a claustrophobia can be the idea that you feel trapped, that you don't believe that you are free necessarily to do what you need to do. These are simplifications, but it can begin to give you an idea of how to relate to the presentation of the particular phobia or fear within you. A fear of a particular animal can help you understand what the fear is about, what the belief system is telling you, if you understand what that animal symbolizes to you, what situation it puts you in when you think of that or perceive that or experience that particular kind of animal or symbol. So it can be best served by starting to unravel what the style is in which the fear presents itself to you, what it symbolizes, what it means to you, what meaning you have put into that symbol in your society or from you personally.
Okay. Why does it take one negative comment from someone for me to ruminate and overthink negative scenarios? And exploring why that person triggers me and why I give away my power to that person. Is that part of this process? And how can I get beyond this?
Well, again, yes. And it's again what we said. The fact that you are triggered means that that person has done the service of bringing to your attention that particular area in which you are giving your power away to the fear-based belief. So in bringing your attention to it, it allows you to explore what that belief would have to be in order for you to be so easily ready to accept that what that person is saying about you is true. Because if that is triggering you, it means you have a belief that what they're saying is true about you. In other words, you believe that to be true about yourself. So find out why you would continue to buy into that and be grateful that that person was capable of bringing your attention to belief systems that you are buying into, telling you things about yourself that aren't true, and yet you are buying into them as if they are. That's the purpose of being triggered, to bring your attention to a belief you're buying into that is saying things to you that aren't true about you, because it's showing you that you're saying those things or believing those things to be true about yourself. Because if you didn't believe them to be true, you couldn't be triggered by someone saying something like that.
So if someone approaches you and is aggressive towards you psychologically, a well-known person to you, and that triggers this kind of response of feeling responsible for the negative experience that you're having and attracting that into yourself. And
yes, well, in a sense, you are responsible on your side. It doesn't excuse the perpetrator, because they're responsible for why they would present themselves that way. And self-investigation on their part would perhaps help them realize they don't necessarily have to be the aggressor. But someone who is on the receiving end is still responsible for feeling what they're feeling, because they are reacting to what is being said to them by the aggressor as if it's true. So it's about getting in touch with why you would buy into that being true. Of course, always making sure that there isn't some advice there that you could apply to yourself if it would help improve you. But beyond that, it's about developing the discernment to tell the difference about what is actually true for you and what is the other person's issue that really has nothing to do with you, but they may be using you to project their issues on you because they may be afraid to face those issues within themselves, may be in denial of them, and therefore you may be reminding them that they have those issues, and because they're not willing to dig within themselves to find out what they are, they may simply build up a resentment that you are kind of rubbing their nose in it. Whether you are attending to do that or not is not the issue. They may see you that way and may project on you the aggression that prevents them from having to look within themselves. So you have to develop for yourself the ability to tell the difference between what is an issue that's being reflected to you about you that you need to look at, or whether it's simply you're being willing to be in this scenario with someone to give them an opportunity to recognize that they are projecting an issue of theirs on you because they're afraid to face it within themselves.
And it kind of goes back to the programming issue that children, when they experience an authority figure like a parent being aggressive or dominant over them.
Yes.
That also connected with the idea of ruminating when you have something negative about you or to you presented, and then in childhood that might have been a very threatening thing because of the relationship, and so even if it's someone you care about and they're saying negative things to you or being aggressive with you, you're in a sense falling back into that earlier pattern.
Well, yes, it's pointing out that you have bought into it, maybe even from an early age, but it's giving you an opportunity to let go of it and free yourself from it by bringing it to your attention that it's something you may still be buying into.
Okay. And I know that one of the questions had to do with what is the psychological and physiological basis of fear in humans, and why is a fearful thought become so distorted and enlarged in some people? It also says that in religion, it's said that fear is the opposite of faith. From your perspective, how can we convert fear into a viewpoint where we recognize our own power?
Well, again, to some degree, this is a repeat of what we have said. It's all based on what you believe to be true to begin with, what you've been taught to buy into as true about yourself. And again, remember, negative beliefs are allowing you to filter your energy through them, and that's what distorts the energy physiologically, psychologically, is that you're simply funneling your energy through a negative belief, and a negative belief is something that's out of alignment, by definition, with who you truly are, with your core, true, essential frequency. So when you experience the idea of fear, the mechanical device that's generating it is the negative belief that's attempting to perpetuate itself, because in a sense it's designed to make sure you don't let it go. So it's going to, in some people, amplify, magnify whatever tool it needs, including fear, to make sure that you don't let it go. That's one of the ways it's designed to perpetuate itself. But if you understand that it's just a technique being utilized by the negative belief, and that the stronger the fear is, the harder the negative belief is working so you don't let it go, which is an indication that you're actually very close to letting it go. So looking at the idea of amplified and magnified fear as being very close to letting go of the negative belief can put you across the threshold very quickly if you understand mechanically that that's the only reason why the fear is amping up, is because you're just about ready to let go of that negative belief about yourself. So starting to define these things and understand these things mechanically in that way can give you the ability to unlock yourself from them, because you understand that it's just a mechanism that the belief is using to perpetuate itself so that you won't let it go.
And so, in a sense, creating a step-by-step formula for the moment that you're triggered. I believe one of the first things you've suggested is you take a moment of pause.
Yes,
and
you stop and find out what you would have to believe is true about yourself in order to have the triggering experience. Because you wouldn't be triggered by someone saying something that had nothing to do with you, that you couldn't relate to. So the idea is to find out, why are you relating to what they've said or done in a way that seems true about you, when you know that you don't necessarily prefer it to be so. Again, it's always wise to make sure that what is being reflected to you is not something you need to pay attention to change yourself in a way that you might prefer to. But generally speaking, those ideas that trigger you into the fear are for the purpose of taking that moment for what it is and exploring what you would have to believe is true about yourself in order to have that particular fearful reaction. Because you wouldn't have that reaction if you automatically knew that what was being said or done wasn't true. You wouldn't be able to relate to it. There would be no reaction if you thought it had nothing to do with you.
So getting into that neutral state is really critical when it is just starting, because you feel the effect of it, and then you have to sort of watch your own behavior and your own thought patterns that are triggered by that situation, but coming from a neutral place where you're not giving away your power. Because I guess that's part of the question, is why give away your power to another person? You know,
because that's part of the belief structure in the negative belief, that you do so to keep you feeling powerless to change it. It's simply one of the tools in the kit of the negative belief that prevents you from letting it go.
Okay. So another question that's come up is that the collective experience is what manifests weather and wildfires and all kinds of, COVID, all kinds of challenges and experiences.
Yes.
Okay, so...
And the individuals, to some degree, that have agreed to abide by the collective consensus reality. Yes.
Okay, and so you said that we must take responsibility for the manifestation, and that all these negative expressions are coming up right now to help us decide what we prefer and what we don't prefer, right?
Yes, correct. And remember that when we talk about the word responsibility, We are literally just saying the ability to respond. Literally. So the idea is that your responsibility is not about blame. We're not saying, oh, you specifically, personally caused this or wished it to happen or want this to be the scenario. We're simply saying that even if it's something that's the product of the mass consensus or other people who are vibrating incompatibly and making choices that are incompatible with the choices you would prefer to make, you are still able to respond in whatever way is actually most helpful to other individuals and the collective by sharing ideas and information for alternative ways to do things, alternative choices that could be made to give them options other than the ones they're choosing. That's what we mean by responsibility. We're not saying, oh, you're to blame. We're saying you are able to respond in a way that might help others change the way they choose things so as to not allow these kinds of experiences in the consensus to happen again. That's your responsibility.
And also your awareness that you are the one that will shift to a parallel earth where things are different.
Yes.
And that's really where you're empowered, because as long as you're responsible for your own vibration and you express your perspective through physical action.
Yes, remember, you're responsible for yourself. You are only responsible to others. And the responsibility to others that serves them is to either show them by your own actions or by what you have to say or some other technique or way that there might be other options more in alignment with what they really, truly, essentially might prefer in a more positive sense. Not that they have to choose it, because what they choose to do, no matter what you share with them, is none of your business. But the idea is that you will continue to take yourself more in the direction of the version of Earth you prefer, while at the same time you are giving them an opportunity to see in you as a living example that there might be other ways they can also make choices that would be more vibrationally compatible with the kind of world that you are navigating yourself to by the choices and behaviors that you exhibit.
And so the idea that other people's behavior and not liking their behavior and feeling like you can't control other people's behavior, that is still a disempowered perspective. And
exactly.
Instead, you want to look at other people's behavior are you saying, you already said this,
Yes.
How to look at behavior that you don't approve of or you don't
It's not
prefer.
about approving it. It's about the idea of having the compassion to recognize that they simply have never been taught how to feel empowered within themselves. They haven't been given the tools or the kit or the knowledge or the understanding of how to shift the choices that they're making because it's based on their own fear-based beliefs. So while you may not prefer what they're doing, it's not about disapproval, because disapproval simply puts you on the same incompatible vibratory level that you say you don't prefer to be on. Have compassion, stay on the frequency you prefer to be on, and help guide them. But again, you have to do so freely, giving them the free will choice to ignore everything you're saying. But at least you're giving them the opportunity, the option to choose something different. And that's all you can do to be of service, to be of help, and to be responsible to others.
Yes.
Okay. So, let's say you regret an experience out of your past. Oh, not regret.
Say that again.
You had a sexual experience when you were a kid.
Yes.
That you regret.
All right.
And because of that,
yes.
I feel not all the way pure.
All right. So let me ask you this question. Are you that kid now?
No.
So why are you continuing to recreate that experience in your present?
I think it's society.
Why are you choosing to continue to recreate that experience in your present if you're not that person anymore? Did you learn from it?
But
Did you learn from that experience that you preferred something different?
I'm not sure that I all the way believe that I'm not that kid, because
all right,
society
we'll get
tells
to that
us.
in a moment.
Yes.
We'll get to that in a moment. Answer this question first. Did you learn something from that experience that allowed you to realize that you prefer something different? Yes or no?
Yeah.
All right. So are you applying that new knowledge in your life now? What you learned, are you behaving in a different way?
Am I behaving in a different way? Yes.
All right. So doesn't the new behavior supersede what happened in the past?
What does supersede mean?
Take the place of. Doesn't it replace what happened in the past because you have learned from it and are now applying a new behavior? Doesn't that make you a different person?
I want to say yes.
Why do you want to say yes?
Because
it feels better, doesn't it?
It does feel better.
Then why not believe it, regardless of what society says? Why not believe you are a different person now?
Because society makes me feel wrong.
Because society says what?
They make me feel wrong, or they make me feel...
They don't make you feel anything. They may suggest how you could make yourself feel, but if you don't prefer to feel that way, why are you agreeing with them? Because you're the one making yourself feel what you're feeling. No one else can make you feel anything.
That's right. So
I know.
I just practice. So is there a way to get there? Is it probably by following my highest excitement that eventually...
The formula will help.
Okay.
But you also have to really understand how things work, what the structure of existence is like. Everything exists here and now.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that time is an illusion?
Yes.
Even your scientists understand this now. Yes? It's not real. It's a side effect. Time is a side effect of your consciousness shifting through billions of parallel reality moments every second. So if everything exists here and now, the only way you can experience what appears to be different moments is by actually shifting your focus within the now to a different now, which means you're a different person. Because everything that changes in the now changes everything in the now. It's not the same reality from one moment to the next. Literally. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the experience of time. So the idea is that you literally are a different person when you change anything about yourself, and you're becoming a different person billions of times a second. So it's not about the idea of learning how to change. It's about the idea of realizing that you're constantly changing and constantly a different person in a different reality, in a different version of Earth, moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. And you get to say what you are, what person you are, how you define yourself every single moment. So you get to choose. As I just said, your greatest power is the freedom to choose who you prefer to be. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks you should be. They're not living your life. They're not your reality. You are your own universe. So be who you prefer to be. Define yourself as you prefer to. Behave as you prefer to, knowing that it's just as real as anything else you've ever done, because that wasn't actually you. You have to understand that everything exists at the same time, which means every single moment is actually about a different person. So even though you might have this illusion of continuity, that younger person was you, it isn't you. It's a different person. You're a different person than that you. It's not the same you. It may look like you may be creating a continuity that makes it seem like there's a continuous stream between that younger you and this particular you, but there isn't. That's an illusion. That's a different person. It's not you. You've changed, and therefore you're a different person, literally. Yes?
Yes.
That's how it works. So be the person you know you are now, instead of recreating the idea that you are still a person you've never been. You've never been that person. Now that you are defining yourself in this way, that definition literally makes you a completely different person who has never been that other person. This is what we call the 13th step. This is the idea of the true understanding that every change is total change and that things are changing, as I said, billions of times per second. I'll use the analogy that people on your planet often use of what you call addiction. When you see people suddenly stop doing addicting behavior, some kind of miraculous shift where one day they are having that behavior and the next day they are not, it's not because they actually stopped doing it. It's because the person they've become never did it. They have no history of doing it, and that's why it's so easy for them to not have any urges about the idea that they used to do it. Is because they never did. They're not the same person, literally, anymore, and never have been that person. The illusion of continuity is broken. That's how you allow yourself to know you're changing, truly changing, into different people every moment. Let go of the illusion of continuity that anchors you to a past you never had, because everything is created from the present, including the past.
So my past is even different now.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the idea. Now, it's going to seem to be. Whatever you create yourself to be is going to come with whatever past you still believe is relevant to you. But as you change the relevant definition, you're going to create a past that makes sense for the person you are now, because that's how it works in space-time. If you change yourself differently enough, you have to create a past that makes it make sense in space-time as to how you became the person you are now, which means you had to have had a different past than you had before in order to be the person you are now. Because everything is created from the present. There's no such thing as the past. It's an illusion. It's just another parallel present reality that you can decide to experience or not. So break the continuity and realize that every single moment that you become a different person, you have a different past. It may seem like it's always been the past, but that's just what has to come with it in order for you to have a sense of continuity in space-time reality.
Okay.
Many of you don't even know how many pasts you've experienced. Even collectively, as we have often given examples, what you consider to be your history as a collective right now may not necessarily have been your history 5 minutes ago. But it will seem to have always been your history. Oh yes, everyone knows that in X BC this. You don't know that that's the way it was 5 minutes ago. It might have been completely different 5 minutes ago, but it's going to seem like it's always been that way when you create a new past.
Okay.
Is this helping?
Yeah, this is helping.
All right.
I just want to share my experience of the weekend because I think it's helpful, and there comes a question with it.
Yes.
The last days, just being in the room.
Yes.
I asked the question the first day, but just being in the room, I felt like my vibration was shifting on a level.
Yes, because you are picking up on the frequency that we give off through the channel's body, and you're willing to match the frequency that's a higher frequency representation of yourself.
And I also think because I allowed it this time
yes.
too, because you taught us to see everything as a positive in the
yes.
formula. Yeah.
And also remember what we have called the AAA formula. On your culture, you have the synchronous convenience of having something called AAA, which you often use to rescue you when your vehicle breaks down. So the idea is we're suggesting a different AAA formula when you feel that your vehicle, yourself, has broken down and you feel the need to be rescued. Allow yourself to remember this AAA formula. A, acknowledge what you have, not what you don't have. B, appreciate what you have. And number 3, allow what needs to happen next to happen. Acknowledge, appreciate, allow. That's all you need to bring yourself back to center. Acknowledge what you have, not what you don't have. Appreciate what you have and allow what needs to happen next to happen.
Is this part of the excitement formula too, or?
It is a subset of it. It's a permission slip designed based on it.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, in the excitement formula, what really helped me to like increase my vibration is the I feel like I always followed my excitement.
Well, not always.
Not always, but like recently I've been really going for it and
All right.
not doing the not having the insistence.
Yes.
But I feel like where always when something happened that I didn't like so much, preferred.
Is it truly a recognition of neutral non-preference, or is it a fear reaction? You have to have the ability to discern that honestly within yourself too.
It might have been a fear reaction, but I cleared that out by giving it the possibility that it's like giving it a positive meaning.
It doesn't mean that you say that what is negative is positive. It means you stay in a positive state so that you can recognize how to use what is negative in a positive way.
How do you stay in a positive state if you see something?
Did we not explain that before? What other choice are you giving yourself? Why would you leave the positive state? What reasons are you creating to leave it?
It's just a natural reaction of
it is not a natural reaction. It is a learned reaction.
So how do I relearn?
By following the formula and keep practicing it until it becomes not second nature, first nature.
So by following the formula, it will automatically...
Keep doing it, just like anything. If you want to learn to play an instrument, what do? You keep practicing. So just keep doing it. Every chance you get, remind yourself to go back into that state.
Okay.
That's it.
That's
all you have to do.
I have a question about the formula.
Yes.
And I make it as an example because I think it's easier. This morning, so my highest excitement today clearly was coming here.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Exactly. But I realized there's a difference in excitements. So let's say my highest excitement is here, but there's a time span from me waking up to me getting here.
So
why
can't that be exciting too?
That can. I'm just asking because when I wake up, in between those little moments, should I still ask?
Every moment can be as exciting as the next. It doesn't matter what it is you're doing. Do it in the way that's most exciting for you. Even the simple things. Getting out of bed, getting dressed. Do it in the way that's most exciting for you so that you are allowing those moments to be what they can be. Don't diminish them. Don't devalue them.
No, of course, yeah. So on the way to my highest.
No. It's not on the way. Every moment is part of your excitement if you allow it to be and act as if it is and do it in the way that is most exciting. You're making a difference between those moments and other moments by saying, I'm on the way to my excitement. No, every moment.
Because on some points, it doesn't feel like I know what my next highest excitement is.
You don't have to know. It's very simple, very simple. You don't have to know the ultimate. Just take it a step at a time. If you want to, again, practice this, do it in exactly the way I just suggested. When you wake up in the most exciting way you can. What do you want around you when you wake up? Do you want flowers in your bedroom? Do you want a certain scent in your bedroom? Do you want a certain chime on your alarm if you use that? Do you want to wake up to music? Wake up in the most exciting way you can. If you want to stay in bed for a few minutes and recount your dreams, and that's more exciting, do it. When you finally decide that you wish to be excited about rising from your bed, do it in the most exciting way you can. Whether it's a soft, calm swinging of your legs over the side, planting your feet in those wonderful, cozy slippers, or jumping and leaping out of bed, fully naked, into the bedroom. Do it in the way that's most exciting for you. And then every moment will feel fulfilling, and it's not that you will be ignoring them and invalidating them by saying that they're nothing more than a way on the way to your excitement. This is what we're talking about. Every moment.
So make every moment a way.
Use your imagination.
Is it good to ask the question every moment, or does it make you just confused?
If that excites you, but once you practice it and get used to doing your life that way, you won't have to keep asking the question. You will know what to do because you'll know yourself. Remember, it comes down to that ancient phrase, know thyself. So when you know who you are, you will start doing the things in the way that you would do them. That will always be the most exciting way you can do it, because why would you do those things any other way? If you are living your excitement, then do everything in your life in the most exciting way you can. Everything. Don't leave anything out. Why miss a moment? Why miss that precious, beautiful, exciting moment as I described of slipping your toes into those cozy slippers? Oh, that's ecstasy in that moment. Why miss out on that? Because you're in such a hurry to get somewhere more exciting. Don't rush ahead. What's your hurry? You are an infinite, eternal being. What's your hurry? Enjoy every moment.
Okay.
All right, does that help?
That helps.
All right.
Once again, we would like to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank each and every one of you, and all of you together collectively, who are participating in the co-creation of this transmission. Once again, each and every time you are willing to participate in this kind of communication, it forms not only a link and a bridge between your world, your frequency, your dimension, your reality, and ours, but also by creating such a link, it creates a new dimension, a new reality, a new vibration that will grow and change and become a space, become a reality in which we can one day both interact more and more directly. So we thank you for the co-creation of this new space, of this new reality in which we all shall together participate. Let us begin this day of your time, this transmission, by calling this communication permission slips. Let us talk about permission slips. What are permission slips? Well, the idea we would like to share with you this day of your time is that many times we hear in conversations with many of you questions and discussions of different kinds of tools, rituals, books, information. And we are often asked, does this tool work? What about this ritual? What is the best way to do this? What is the best way to do that? Now, we have often discussed, of course, the notion that for each and every one of you individually, because each and every one of you is a distinct signature vibration, that obviously whatever tool, ritual, idea, information you attract to yourself is, by definition, at that moment, the one that will work best for you. Because it is keyed, it is matched to your frequency. That's why you attracted it. So even if the very next day you attract something different, if it is that attraction, the product of the change in your frequency, and you trust the synchronicity of your life having brought that to you, then even if it is different than what you were doing the day before, it is at that moment the perfect tool for you. Because you attracted it with your frequency, like vibration to like vibration. But in talking about all of these different techniques, tools, rituals, meditations, books, information, what have you, there is something very important to understand about all these things. Be they ideas or artifacts, doesn't matter.
What they really simply are permission slips that you give to yourself to be who you are. The power does not exist in those objects, in those rituals. No real effect per se comes from them. Now, we understand, of course, that in physical reality, when something is crystallized in a physical way, of course it has its own attributes. Such things as crystals are obviously representative of certain kinds of energy patterns, yes. But nevertheless, the point is that regardless of what attribute the object or idea or technique or tool itself may have inherently, the idea is that it still doesn't really create any effect within you or do anything for you unless you choose to match the frequency of the idea it symbolizes for you. So you are generating the effect yourself out of your own energy, but what you are doing is you are relying on your belief system, which sometimes can be unconscious, to attract to you the symbol that best reflects the vibration within you, that will allow you permission to be yourself. We understand that many times some of the belief systems and ideas and definitions that you are brought up believing in on your planet will create certain notions and patterns within you that makes it seem as if you do not have the ability to be who you say you wish to be. That there are obstacles or challenges in your way that seem to prevent you sometimes, as we hear it from you, from really becoming the full person you wish to be, from really having the full passionate life you wish to have. This is not empirically true, but we understand that if you have a belief system that says it is that way, then for you it is true. Because even though there is no real empirical physical reality, your experience of physical reality is real. That is the only thing that is real. Experience is the reality, not the reality you think you're experiencing, just the experience itself. And when you gravitate toward, attract yourself to, or attract to you some particular idea of information, some particular technique of delivery, even including this idea of channeling, or some object such as a crystal or some book or some ritual or some meditation, all of those things are just a portion of yourself writing you a permission slip to let you finally be in a space that's safe for you to really express your abilities, to be more of who you are. The things themselves do nothing for you. You are doing it all. But if you feel you need an excuse to do it, a permission slip from the universe to do it, then that's what all of these tools and techniques are for. You attract what reflects the belief system within you that makes it seem as if the technique is giving you the ability to do what you want to do, but you're simply giving it to yourself. You are giving yourself permission through the symbol to be more of who you are. So please remember that when and if, at any time, you have a question in your head, what technique is the best for this? What tool should I use? All the things you're ever going to find, all the things you're ever going to have recommended to you, all the things you're ever going to be attracted to are really nothing more than a variation of a permission slip that you are giving to yourself to reveal to yourself, through the particular symbology of that slip, what kind of pattern exists or what kind of belief system exists or what kind of definition exists within your consciousness. And in knowing that, in going into the ritual, in using the tool or the technique with that in mind, you can empower yourself that much more rapidly, that much more powerfully, that much more thoroughly by recognizing that even though you may feel at this moment that you need that tool, need that technique in order to have what you want, in order to be who you wish to be, you can then now at this point understand it is you simply doing this by having given yourself permission to let it be all right in some kind of context that your belief system can relate to, so that you will remove any reason not to be yourself. Now, ultimately, you will understand that if this is what these things are, if they are nothing but permission slips, then certainly, as you grow, as you learn, as you expand, you will realize that any technique, any tool will work, will do the same thing, that they're all valid in that context, they're all equal, one is not better than another, and in general, you will also arrive at a point where you will realize that you don't really need them to simply make a change within yourself just because that's what you wish to do. You will simply shortcut the process, not need the technique, not need the tool. You will simply say, well, I'll just choose. I will just choose to be that way. I will just choose to be that state of being. I don't need any other tool, any other technique, other than the recognition that what I choose will be so. What I choose is up to me. And if I wish to attract a technique or tool to myself because I feel it is fun, because I feel it will give me a reason to do what I wish to do, be who I wish to be, well, all well and good, so be it. But knowing that will eventually eliminate the need for the tool itself. Because you are the primary tool, you are the primary technique. Now, we are going to cover more of the ideas I'm about to speak about in what you call tomorrow's transmission as well. But we're going to lay some foundations here and now for that. The next thing we would like to bring up in connection and in conjunction with this idea of permission slips is how to allow this concept to sink in more deeply and how to form a relationship more clearly and more consciously with what many of you have for a long time called your higher self. This mysterious higher self. Where is it? Don't know. Is he up there? Is she over there? Don't know. How high? This high? This high? Don't know. What is the higher self? Thank you. Let's address this. So you have some definitions to work with, which again are nothing but what? Permission slips. That's all we're delivering here. Everything we say, everything we deliver to you is nothing but another form of permission slip. Take which one works for you. The ones that don't work for you, let them be. Now, let's go into a little bit more detail. Higher self. All right. Most of you are familiar with the idea that you have a physical consciousness, a personality as a physical being that you relate to as yourself, so to speak. But then there is this mysterious idea of the higher self. Simply put, most of you understand, or at least intuit, that the so-called higher self, well, is relatively non-physical. Even more simply put, you could say that there is a vibrational frequency just above physical reality, just beyond physical reality, in which resides what you might refer to as a template for physical reality, or upon which you construct your physical experience. It is in that template level, just beyond the physical threshold, that the higher self exists. Now, please do not confuse the idea of higher self with oversoul or spirit or what have you. Higher self is a specific idea that is like a version of the person you are in physical reality, but a version that has a broader perspective, a broader point of view. It's like having a twin standing on a mountaintop while one is also standing in the valley. And they can communicate with each other. And the higher self can say, I see you walking down the road, and I see that there is, well, a little bit of a ditch up ahead, so if you walk this way and walk that way, you'll avoid it. And the one in the valley going, oh, thank you very much. This is very simply put, the relationship between the two. It is you with a higher perspective, a broader perspective, a bigger picture, without the complications that can arise from the personality construct's belief system. So the higher self is like a guiding principle, a governing principle, so to speak, that is a part of your complex as a person, but is the non-physical component that acts as the conduit to even higher versions of your soul, of your being, of your spirit, but also acts as the intermediary between those higher levels and the physical personality construct, and can distill information from the higher spirit and soul over soul levels in a way that your personality can understand. So the higher self functions like a translator, taking the information from the higher levels and bringing it down to earth in a way that can communicate to the personality effectively. However, because of some of the belief systems that exist within the personality structure on your planet, there has been confusion as to exactly how to form a clear communication line to the higher self. So let's make something very, very clear. This may sound a little bit surprising, but that's all right. Surprises are good. There are 3 levels here in this idea. It might surprise you to know, as personality constructs, as physical minds, you do not conceive of any ideas. What do I mean? The personality does not conceive of concepts. It perceives concepts. It does not conceive them. Here are the 3 levels. The higher self conceives. The physical brain receives. The personality mind perceives. That's all it does. Any idea, any inspiration, any imagination you have ever had doesn't come from the physical mind portion of you. It comes from the higher self portion of you, through the receiver, the brain, and is translated by the brain into a vibration that the physical mind then perceives as a reflected reality. One more time, because this is crucial to understand. You don't conceive of any ideas as a physical mind. That's not what the physical mind is designed to do. It cannot create ideas. It can only perceive the result of an idea from the higher self. Now, this may sound at first somewhat limiting, but in fact, it's very, very freeing, because you can all stop thinking. You can all stop thinking you're in charge. You can all stop thinking you have to think of everything. You can all stop thinking that you're the one guiding the ship. You're not. You are just looking at the road. You're just experiencing the path that you, the whole you, is creating. But the reason you get into trouble, the reason you feel stuck as a physical mind, is because you've been taught to believe that the physical mind is the one coming up with all this stuff. And it's not. So when you try to manipulate it, it doesn't work, because the physical mind is not designed to actually create those concepts. It is only designed to perceive the effect of the creation of those concepts through the receiver, the physical brain. Now, here's also what happens. And again, this is an important distinction. Physical mind cannot perceive how something happens. It can only perceive how something happened. One more time. It's a very important distinction, and I'll explain. Physical mind does not have the capacity to perceive how something happens. It can only perceive how something happened. But because the physical mind thinks it's coming up with these things, it then takes what happened and assumes that that's how things happen. And it's not. It's only what happened that time. And it thinks, well, if I do that again, I can make this happen, I can make that happen. No. You might get some degree of repetitional success with that philosophy, but it will never go beyond the parameters of what you observed in that particular happenstance. Because what happened was designed to allow that particular thing to happen. And that particular thing doesn't necessarily require the same ingredients as something else. So when you may want something else to happen, when you may want to expand on what happened, you cannot use the same ingredients that made that happen, because then all you'll do is repeat the cycle and wonder why you're not getting anywhere. You have to allow the connection to your own higher self to be the one that will allow you to experience the reality that comes from the higher self, because the higher self is the only part of you that actually knows how things happen, because it's on the mountaintop. It has the broader perspective. It can see what's coming. It can orchestrate. You're in the valley as a physical being. From the physical perspective, your view is somewhat limited. But the idea is it doesn't matter. As we will discuss and point out, and as many of you have heard in The Secret, all you really need to do, to use the analogy they use of driving your car, is see the road just a few hundred feet ahead. You don't have to see the road all the way from your beginning to your destination. That's the higher self's point of view. So you don't have to know exactly how you're going to get there. All you need to know as the physical side of the personality mind is where you're at right now. The higher self will tell you, keep going. Turn left. Turn right. You're going to get there quicker this way. You're going to get there quicker that way. You need to stop for now. You need to take a rest. You need to take a bathroom break. Then get back in your car and keep going. That comes from the higher self portion of the total being that you are as a person, as a persona. But the physical mind aspect of the personality does not have the capacity to understand how things happen. So, stop trying to figure it out, because you never will as a physical person. Only as a higher self expression, when you are in communication and allowing that communication to occur, will you then be able to take advantage of knowing how it's going to happen. But the physical mind will not know how it's going to happen. This is using the invisible to your advantage. And this is why you talk about such things as, well, you just have to take it on faith. No, you don't. It's really about knowing and understanding the nature of your actual existence, understanding the structure of the relationship, understanding how it is you have arranged yourself as a consciousness, and then simply using it in the same way that you use a telephone, a light switch, or any other device. It's simply a matter of understanding the nature of it, and then taking advantage of using the nature of it, and using the power of the invisible, because it's very, very solid. Just because your physical mind can't perceive it, can't perceive the how of it, and how this is all happening doesn't mean it cannot receive the benefit of how it's all happening. But in order to really do that as fully as you possibly can, you must drop the assertion and the assumption that the physical mind needs to know how everything works. Because it never, ever will. It's not designed to. And this allows you to lighten up your load, stop carrying so much baggage, stop trying to do your higher self's job, and just do your own. That's why so many of you are so tired when you are trying to do certain things in a certain way. It's because you're trying to do a job you weren't designed to do. That's exhausting. Stop. You were not hired to do that job. Your higher self already has the job, and it's working for you perfectly. Work with it. Work with it. Not against it. By trying to do the job it was designed to do. Just do the job you were designed to do, which is perceive what has happened and allow yourself to know that what has happened can be used by you to your advantage by maintaining positive meaning from your belief system into it. Allowing yourself to do that as physical mind is what will keep the communication lines open. Acting on your passion, acting on your excitement, always putting positive meaning into whatever happens is what will keep the lines open to your higher self to receive the communication, to know that you can take the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and the next step, because whatever it is that does happen will always allow you to take the next step. No matter what it is, as long as you relate to it in the appropriate way as a physical mind, and don't attempt to relate to it in an inappropriate way as a higher mind yourself. Let the higher mind come through you and relate to it, but don't try to do the higher mind's job for it. It will always, always be difficult for you to do because you're not designed to do that. So again, higher self conceives. Physical brain receives. Physical mind perceives. That's it. That is the totality of your persona in physical reality, with this connection to the level just above, vibrationally just above, what you call solid and tangible reality. Now, of course, to your oversoul, to your spirit, the higher self is actually quite solid, quite physicalized, quite a bit more dense vibrationally than you are when you are on the higher spirit level, on the oversoul level. It is, again, just above what you call the frequency of physical reality. We will go into this, as we say, in more detail, in more depth, tomorrow of your time. Also, what we will go into in more depth and in more detail tomorrow of your time is the concept that we have talked about many times and you have heard from other places many times, but which we will now deliver in a different way. The concept of the difference between state of being and circumstances. And again, this ties into what we are saying. In a nutshell, as you say, the idea is to understand, as we have said in other ways, that circumstances do not determine your state of being. Your state of being determines your circumstances. Now, what's key here, though, is to understand once again that because of the way the personality mind has been taught to think of its job, it will often hear that statement as, oh, well then, if I get into this state of being, I will create circumstances that will be exactly reflective of what I prefer. And if I don't see those, something's wrong. This is what must be avoided, is the assumption that circumstances, that the appearance of circumstances mean anything. Again, remember, they are neutral. It's what you put into them, from the state of being you choose to be in, that determines the effect of the state of being of your life, the quality of who you are, the level of your passion, not what the reflection looks like. So, taking this a step further, beyond the idea, beyond the mechanistic connective statement of it's not circumstances that determine your state of being, it's state of being that determines your circumstances. Taking it a step further, you could actually help break that connection that doesn't serve you by restating this idea in a more definitive way. Circumstances don't matter. Only state of being matters. Circumstances don't matter. Only state of being matters. Now listen to the way that translates in your language. Circumstances don't matter. Don't materialize things. Only your state of being matters, materializes things. So, circumstances don't matter. Only, underline, 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 only your state of being matters. Big, fat, period. Exclamation point. Close quotes. Parentheses, brackets. Now, we will also, tomorrow of your time, in that transmission, explain in far more detail the whole idea of the energy of the transformation on your planet, the rate of acceleration, and the different gradients within it. As we now approach what we have, and many others have, labeled as the threshold crossing, your year of 2012, where the leading edge of your consciousness will have reached critical mass. And in crossing that threshold, then from that point forward, can allow more opportunity for positive creation to occur. We will, having said that, discuss in finer detail what we mean by this wave of energy that reaches critical mass, and the different gradients that go along in it, and the consequences of existing in each of those gradients, so that you can see more clearly, and you can choose more clearly, if you wish to, how to ride the front leading edge of that transformational consciousness wave, instead of simply bobbing up and down in some of the eddies and currents that follow along in its wake. Because that's what a lot of you are doing. Just bobbing around in the currents in the wake of the leading edge of the consciousness wave. But you can ride the leading edge if you wish. So, in that context, we will explain how to ride that wave. Surf's up. Now, all the things we have said, all the things we will say, all the things we are saying, come together now, in this moment, in this transmission. And once again, we thank you for the opportunity to share this perspective with you. We now ask you, if you wish, to open up to sharing and more direct interaction with what you call your questions and discussions